Got 1 minute left in this song. I'm just going to let it play out. Britt is owning the comment section, apparently. Although Andy is here. That's okay, Andy. Don't worry about it. Okay, so that little song is actually a brand new song. I know it has some 80s vibes to it, but that song is called "Step Into the Light," and it is by Spirit of Wires. Spirit of Wires is it's one person. She's a musician from. Is she from Australia or from New Zealand? Now I can't remember. Hold on, let me figure out where she's from. Her name is Danielle Catherine Seward, and she's from Sydney, Australia. And she and I have been chatting online. And she lives in Australia, and her new CD just dropped recently, but you can find her on Spotify under Spirit of Wires, and I got permission from her yesterday to play that song. I asked her if I could use her song since her CD just came out. I wanted to kind of like share a little bit of her music. So Andy is watching the show tonight from YouTube, says he cannot see the comments from Facebook. So let me go ahead and before we go into the comment section, let me start off by saying welcome to Friday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Whatever This Is. I'm your host, Phil Machi. If you're new to this show, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. This is a show that has been running daily since March 17th of this year, and it's a live stream show that is traditionally run on YouTube. I'm sorry, on Facebook, but today is the second day that I am simulcasting on YouTube. So if you are here and you are new to the show, please make yourself known in the comments. Feel free to say hi. Feel free to watch on Facebook if you like. Lots of conversation awaiting. This is a 1 hour program that is kind of stream of consciousness, a little bit artistic discussion, a little bit audience participation, interaction, and a whole lot of just us kicking back and enjoying each other's company. That's what it is. Britt says, ooh, 80s vibe intro. Yes, indeed. Andy's over here on YouTube, says he can't watch the whole time, but he's going to be watching from YouTube. Let's see. Tabitha's here as well. Hello, Tabitha. Let's see. Andy says you have to read the comments. We cannot see each other. And then he says, I mean, I can't see Facebook comments, and they can't see mine. Catherine says hello. She's at work right now. Hello, Catherine. Andy says, Spirit of Wires, cool. Tabitha says, that is super nice of you to share her music, Phil. Well, she's a real sweet lady. She's honestly, she's one of the nicest people I've never not met before. I haven't really met her, obviously. She lives, halfway across the world, but we've chatted here and there, even though there's a pretty good time difference. But I like her music a lot, and I think that's how I found her. I can't remember, but she's pretty awesome, and I wanted to share the love a little bit. Britt says, I really like her song anyway. I can find it. Yes, look up Spirit of Wires. Britt, Spirit of Wires. She's on Spotify. You can listen for free on Spotify. To Spirit of Wires. Spirit of Wires. I can probably share her album. Copy album link. Okay, let me copy the album link and put it into the chat. Let me do that, and I'll put it on the screen. I'll do both things, people. Here it is in chat. There's a link you can click on in chat. And then I'll just go ahead and let me switch this up real quick and turn off that banner and create another banner and say, listen to Spirit of Wires on Spotify now. There we go. All right. And let's put that there. There you go. Spirit of Wires on Spotify right now. I'm going to make sure I tag her later so she can see that. I don't think she's online right now due to the time zone difference. But there you go. And there we are. Okay. So I'll leave that up for a part of the show. Check out Spirit of Wires. She's great. She has really cool retro sounding instrumental music. I don't remember if there's any vocals. She might have some vocals, but a lot of her stuff is instrumental, and a lot of it is very synthesizer sounding, which is like some of my favorite stuff in the world is like 80s synth. I love it. There you go. That's how you can find it. And the song I played was the title track. That was the title track from her most recent album, which is Step Into the Light. Step Into the Light. There you go. Well, how's your Friday doing, folks? How's your Friday? Andy says, sure, Phil, we all know you're chatting her up so you can get to do a Retail Sunshine Goes to Australia. I don't know that ever even considered that, but that's a funny idea. No, I've been working on a run cycle today. I've been working on the same 10 images, tweaking the image, scanning the image again, putting it back into my animation, going back in, seeing something that doesn't work, tweaking the image, scanning it again, putting it back in. And I've been doing that over and over again the last couple of days for the same 10 frames of animation. And I'm kind of obsessing about it a little bit, but I finally got it to a point where I'm happy enough. Does it look 100% to me? Nah, maybe 98%. But I also don't want to lose my momentum, and I don't want to keep obsessing over it. If it seems to genuinely work, not everything is going to be perfection. I think perfection's a good thing to strive after. If you're hearing noise, it's because I've got cats playing in crunchy paper on the floor. I think perfection's a good thing to strive after, but I also think it's important to kind of know when to kind of call it a day on something and move forward so you don't run out of steam and lose momentum. And that's sort of I'm at a point now where I'm ready to ink these 10 frames. I'm very, very, very ready to ink these 10 frames. So I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to look it over one more time tonight before I start inking and see if there's anything glaringly obvious about it that I don't like. And then I'm going to start inking and then moving the drawings into the cartoon. So my boys are chasing each other around the house right now. It's funny to watch them do that. Hey, Emily. Wow, I haven't seen you in a while. Emily says, Camden wants to know why you're scanning your run cycle, not using a tablet computer. The reason I'm doing it is because it's something that I grew up loving traditional animation. I don't own a tablet. I don't own any of those tools. I don't particularly. I know it would speed things up. I understand, but I have a love of the art form, and I have a love of the process as well. And so I love that when I'm done with this whole process, I'm going to have this big old stack of drawings. And the big old stack of drawings is what became an animated cartoon. And that, just that love of that is what keeps me going with that. So it's not the most efficient way. I'm aware it's not the most efficient way. But I really love the process. And after this cartoon short, this is a 48-second cartoon short that I'm making. I may end up changing it up in the future. Yeah, I'm a purist, Emily. Yes, I appreciate you understanding, because a lot of people have. I don't mind the question, but a lot of people ask the question, and when they ask it with almost like a weird, like, I don't know, a nose in the air. Not that you were doing that. I'm just saying in general, when I get the question, people are like, "Why are you doing that?" And yeah, I guess I could just say I'm a purist and just leave it at that. Shaggy says, Phil's perfection puts my work ethic to shame. I don't know about that, Andy, but that is really nice of you to say that. I'm not even sure what that means, because Andy works like into the wee hours of the night almost every night, I think. And I am definitely not doing that like I used to. I'm trying to get back into doing that again. But I appreciate you saying that, Andy. Emily says, no judgment. He was just curious. No, I appreciate it. I will say that I'm learning so much. It has been over 15 years since I've done a hand-drawn animated cartoon. It's been a long time. And so I will say that this process has been like taking a class again. And I'm not using a lot of reference materials. I'm not using a lot of I'm using a little bit of reference stuff, but I'm really just looking at it and analyzing it and pushing myself through my paces and looking at a couple different guides online, but mostly just trying to work through it and make sense out of it. And as I'm working through this 10-frame run cycle, it's not going to sound weird, I don't think, but it's almost making more sense now. Not almost, it is making more sense now. You know how they say if you write something down on paper, the act of writing it down is like a way of committing it to memory or teaching it to yourself. I feel like by like training myself on what a 10-frame run cycle is, I'm understanding now why something has to be where it has to be when it has to be. And I'm also learning a lot about something that I didn't think was going to be as important, which is consistency of hand size or foot size. And I knew it was going to matter a little bit, but I was under the impression that maybe it could be fudged with more than I think it can be, because I don't know. I thought maybe you could kind of fudge with it, and I guess it's because I've looked at professional cartoons and I've paused professional cartoons, and I remember thinking like, wow, that really looks off. And so I'm just learning how much a little bit off can really screw with flow. Honestly, it's kind of insane. Andy says, "Ha! Every night I don't fall asleep on my Wacom tablet. Good thing my chair is broken. Otherwise, I would just lean back and fall asleep there." Well, Andy, as far as I'm concerned, in my eyes, you are somebody to look up to as far as how much dedication you have. So just know that, my friend. I admire what you do, and definitely am impressed by it. So apparently we're impressing each other, so that's kind of cool. So, but I'm also learning about paper quality and paper thickness and pencils and just what happens if I keep working on the same piece of paper that is a certain kind of paper over and over again. The paper starts curling, so now I got to find different paper. It's not a problem. It is a problem, but it's presenting me with problems that I didn't know were going to be there, and therefore it's training me for future stuff. And so I've been saying all this time that maybe when I'm done with this project, I won't do it this way anymore. But at the same time, I'm learning so much doing it like this about the right way and the wrong way and all this stuff that it's like, gosh, maybe when I'm done with this one, I will be even more ready to do it again, because I'll be able to already have procedures in place, a way of organizing my frames, or a way of understanding things that I didn't have before. It's really teaching me and training me a lot, and it's super valuable. It's something I've been realizing more and more, is that this process, when it's done, it's only going to equate to a few seconds of film, but the amount of time I'm putting into it and the training I'm putting into it is almost worth more than just the few seconds that it's going to take to watch it, if that makes any sense. Hey, Melody, welcome. Andy says, Rob Leafield just said to hide the hands and feet behind exploding rocks and such. I don't understand what that means. I'm sure you might be making a joke, Andy, and I did not get the joke, and I apologize. Apparition, I don't think Phantom wants to play with you right now, buddy. Appa's my kitten in the family. He's not a kitten. He's giant. He's actually bigger than the other two cats, but he's got more energy than they do, and he's definitely like wearing them out. And he keeps wanting to play, and then they get irritated, and then they hiss at him, and he's like, "What's the big deal? I just want to play. I don't understand what the problem is. You want to play? This is a game we can play." And then Phantom's like, "Leave me alone, man." Tabitha says, I cannot wait to see your finished product. You are killing us with the suspense. Hey, I'm not trying to. I really am trying to move forward, but I also want it to be really good, you guys. I mean, honestly, there's not anybody in particular I'm trying to impress other than myself. I'm trying to impress myself. I'm trying to do something that when I look at it again later, I'm going to be like, yeah, man, good job. I've been going back and watching cartoons that I grew up watching, and I'm not going to go and insult anybody. That's not what this is about. I understand that, TV shows have deadlines and TV shows have committees of people that whatever. But that being said, in watching old shows, I'm starting to recognize just a lot of wonky animation stuff that it doesn't look right. And it got onto TV, for crying out loud. And I'm not saying that makes it okay to be sloppy. I'm not saying that. But like, I am aiming to do something that is not going to have a lot of that happen, like very little of it, if at all. I want to make something that when you look at it, you're not going to be like, whoa, what the heck happened there? That's my goal. But the bar I'm trying to hit is the bar of, I'm going to watch this and I'm not going to look at it and think, ooh, I'm embarrassed by that. That is my bar. Hey, Diana. But I'm excited that you're excited, Tabitha. Thank you. I am trying to keep posting progress reports, little images here and there, little video clips here and there. Tonight, I'm going to be inking in the 10 frame run cycle that I've been working on. I'm going to start inking that tonight. I'm thinking about posting the video of that once I'm done inking it on Facebook. I may do that without any backgrounds or anything, just like the run cycle on loop. I posted version 1 not too long ago. It was the pencil version, and I figure if I'm going to post version 2, I don't want version 2 to also be pencils. I'll just say version 2, it's going to have better animation, but it's also going to be inked. So I guess expect to see a version 2 run cycle coming online real soon. Tabitha says, oh, I do not mean to rush through it to pacify us. I'm just saying I look forward to seeing it. Oh, I get that. And I appreciate that, Tabitha. Thank you. It means a lot to me. Again, it's only going to be 48 seconds. And so that's the thing. But I'm trying to create something that has enough excitement in it that when you're done watching the 48 seconds, you're going to be like, I think I need to watch that again, maybe several times. And that's part of the goal. The other thing is I'm going to be making this 3 to 5 minute live action documentary. I'm going to be taking my camera and like positioning it in different parts of my studio here, showing my workspace, And I'm going to create a documentary that talks about the making of the film, but also talks a little bit about the creation of the comic strip series, and the history of it. And part of my reason for doing that is, I want to honor the 48 seconds of work that I'm making. And by that, I mean, those of you who are here right now already kind of know the history of what I'm talking about. But there's going to be people out there on YouTube, maybe even on Facebook or somewhere else, that will watch the cartoon and not know any of the history and may never even take the initiative to find out. And so my thinking is, this is a really good opportunity for me to make like a good 5 minutes of film, 3.5 to 4 minutes worth of documentary, and then another 48 seconds worth of animation. And it gives people some context so that when they watch the cartoon short, they understand what all led up to this point. And I think that's I'm not trying to be self-indulgent. I'm just saying, like, the creation itself, the world itself, I want it to be understood. And so I think a good way to do that is to create a film that explains all those things. Britt says, whenever I do a project that turns out really, really good, my usual go-to thought is, wait, I drew this? Yeah, that's always a fun thing. I think that's part of why I always tell everybody to put the date and time, or not time, but the date at least, in the corner, because sometimes you might go back and look at it years later and go, man, I don't even remember doing that. And then you look at the date and you're like, wow, that's when I did that. And, it kind of helps you build your own sense of timeline. Diana says, bar equals self-satisfaction with your work. It's your standard for where the end result should be for what you'd watch. Makes sense. Yeah, thank you, Diana. That's exactly what it is. And I've had to kind of keep reminding myself of that. The reason why I'm kind of over-explaining is because, let me tell you, doing a live stream show like this and talking about my process, it can be easy to get up in your own head and to like question your motivations. And so I do that a lot. I question my motivation a lot, and I just kind of try to remind myself out loud what my goals are and what I'm trying to do, because A, I don't want to be misunderstood by anybody else, and B, I just want to be able to know remind myself for my own sake what my goal is. Because if my goal is to please everybody else, then that's, first of all, you're not going to be able to do it, and second of all, I'm certainly going about it the wrong way, because what I should be doing is making stuff faster if I really wanted to please everybody else. Diana says, been there. Good. I appreciate that. And she also says, it's the stay tuned for your short. Yeah, kind of. Except nobody's interviewing me. I'm self-interviewing. I will, however, and this is a cool thing, I will be interviewing Kevin Shielder, who's composing the music for the cartoon short. I am going to be interviewing him in the documentary, so you'll get to see Kevin. You'll hopefully get to see some of his studio. He's going to be recording that part on his own, and then I'm going to edit it into the film. So I'm really excited about that, because it's gonna introduce you guys to Kevin a little bit, and possibly even my mystery musician, who I do have an additional musician who just recently said they wanted to help out. Hopefully they will do that. I can't say who it is yet, because I don't want to jinx it. But I have somebody who's a pretty big deal in the music world, at least in my world, and they've offered to help contribute to the music. And so I'm really hoping that they mean that and they stick by it, because it'll kind of make this thing that's already a dream come true into just like beyond that. So no, I know what you mean, Diana, the 5-minute film. Yeah. Andy says, Phil misses college so much that every couple of years he creates a new senior project for himself to relive it. That's not a bad assertion, Andy. I think I do miss that part of my life, but I also miss the fact that, like, I really enjoyed animating, and I was really getting into it towards the end of college. A project that most people don't know about, because I don't have it anymore. I don't know where the files are. I've looked. I can't find it anymore. Maybe it's somewhere buried on a CD or something like that, and maybe I'll find it one day. But there was actually another animated cartoon that I was working on after Better Off Hungry. If you haven't seen Better Off Hungry, it's on YouTube. That was one of my senior projects. But Better Off Hungry was a follow-up cartoon, and it was more ambitious than Better Off Hungry. And I was really, really excited about it. And instead of actually getting to the point of animation, I think it was either half a semester or the whole semester just to work out the story beats and to work out the character designs and to work out the animatic. And the only thing that survived, and I still don't have it, I don't know where it is now, but I'm saying survived after I graduated, was this animatic. I never actually animated the cartoon. There was never a full cartoon. There was just this animatic set to music, and it was set to music that I did not have permission to use. So it was never anything that I got like posted online. You know, I mean, I had it on my website years ago, but I never posted it on YouTube. I never, I always said like, hey, this is not for profit. This was a student project. But I had borrowed some music from a film as just the filler, the background. And it was taking one of my existing livestock comic strips, and it took the comic strip and made it into an animated short. And I kind of wish I would have gone and made it, because I think it would have been really great. That being said, I was nowhere near ready at that point in my artistic career to animate such a thing. Nowhere near. It was way, way ambitious. So, I mean, maybe now I could do it, but it's a super ambitious short if I ever make it. Let's see. Britt says, kind of how I am with my blue hair girl drawing with no mouth, who I decided to name Misty, by the way, because why not? And she says, I'm surprised that she came out so well. Well, that's good, but, being a little bit surprised at what you did, Britt, is one thing, but also try to own it a little bit. And, surprise is fine for a while, but eventually just own it and be like, yes, I went ahead and made this, and now I want to see what I can do next, Andy says, I question my motivation a lot. Am I stuck in first gear? Can this thing go any faster? I think it died. Where's a Frankenstein when you need one? Andy, I'm never quite sure how serious to take your statements. Before I read more of your comments, though, let me first say welcome. If you're just coming in, the numbers are going up. People are coming in more. This is the second day that I'm simulcasting on YouTube. So if you'd like to go ahead and follow me on YouTube, please use the link that is below there. View on YouTube. You can go ahead and subscribe to my channel there. I've got a lot of fun content, more to come, obviously, in the future, which is what I'm talking about today in the animated film world. So after college, I stopped working on animation, and I really pushed myself into illustration. And animation was what I went to school for, though. That is legitimately what I was taking classes for. So I was making comic strips on the side and animating for class. And then when I graduated, I pushed into bookmaking. And so that's what I've been doing since 2004. As I've been focused on bookmaking, and I definitely have more books I'd like to make. But to be honest, all these years, as much as I've loved making books, I'm not putting it down at all. It's been wonderful. I have missed making animated films. I've missed that. I've missed the process. I've missed just all of it, and it just my roots going back to when I was a kid. You can stem it back to animated films and comic strips. Those are like my two pillars of artistic influence. So I love both of them, but I have been neglecting the animation side for over 15 years. So this project has been really educational for me. It's been healing in a lot of ways. I know that might sound a little bit too touchy-feely, but that's the real word for it. So Andy says, gasp, you're having Keith Richards do the music? Did I guess it? No, not Keith Richards. You're not going to be able to guess it. It's somebody who's influential in my childhood, but not necessarily collectively everyone's childhood. Britt says, oh, I got to find Better Off Hungry after this show. Oh, I thought you had already seen it before, Britt. I'm not going to brag about Better Off Hungry. I'm not going to brag about it. It was my senior 2D animated project. I had a limited amount of time, was Was there more I could have done? Yes, I could have done a lot more. It's very limited on the animation side of things. I'm still proud of it to this day. I'm still, it still means a lot to me. I got permission to use the music from Terry Taylor, the guy that did the music for The Neverhood. So the music that's in the cartoon is from The Neverhood, but I actually had permission from their office to do it. So it's a project that still means a lot to me. It's just, I look back on it and I'm like, oh, there's so much I could have done better. But it was my first color 2D animated short, and so for me it was very special, and it still is very special. Andy says, "Ha! He admitted it was one of his senior projects." Oh yeah. Tabitha says, "I definitely recommend." Thank you, Tabitha. Britt says hi to John. John's here. John says, "My uncle was a bookie. Got arrested a few times." Nah, I wasn't cooking the books. Melody says, "I didn't know you made books. That's one thing I love doing." Well, yeah, I mean, I've like the stuff you see behind me, these guys can be found in several books on my website. If you go to retailsunshine.com, they are in 3 different books. Currently 3 books. There's a few mini books that are like sample books, but the main publications, there are 3 books. I have plans for more than 3, but it's hard for me to work on more than one big project at a time. I have to kind of pick and choose what my next big project is. Right now, my next big project is making this animated film and the documentary to go with it. And so that's kind of taking up all my time. So hopefully I'll get to making more books, but I'm honestly not pigeonholing myself right now. I decided that I'm just going to like work on this, just focus on this. And when it's done, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll use it as a pitch and try to get it into a TV show. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to go next with it. I'm just trying to make the best project I can right now. And then when I have it done, then I will go, okay, now how do I want to proceed going forward? Shaggy says, "Oh, my comments are very serious, but my wife says my comments aren't serious at all." Yeah. Well, Andy, it's difficult to tell when it's only in text, but I'm going to take everything you say now with a really fine grain of salt. Let's see. John says, "My uncle was a bookie, got arrested a few times for it. Different kind of bookmaking." Melody says, "John, book cooking?" John is asking if my books are still at Dragon's Lair. John, orientation is still at Dragon's Lair. There's maybe 1 copy left. I have more copies here. If people want to get a copy of any of the 3 books, you can order them through my website or to send me a private message. And those of you who have bought from me before know I typically sign and I draw a little character, a little doodle on the inside cover. So if you like that sort of thing, if you like personalization on things, then buy a book. Melody says, "I thought you meant book binding." No, I never got into book binding. That is very, very cool stuff, and I've always been fascinated by it, but I've never pursued that. The other things that I loved in college but never got a chance to do because I was taking, so many classes, I never got to do glass blowing. Would have loved to have done glass blowing. And the other one I didn't do was printmaking. And printmaking wasn't as much of a draw, but as I got like through the years and I was watching what people were doing, I was like, oh, printmaking's kind of cool. Printmaking has this sort of, maybe I'm wrong, but this is just the impression I got. It has this sort of graffiti feeling to it. There's something interesting about printmaking. It's almost like music because the idea behind printmaking, again, based off of my impression, I never did it. Well, I did it like a little bit, but I didn't take a whole class on it. But my impression about it was like, how music, of course, you can play your favorite songs that are recorded in studio and they always sound the same, right? But if you go and listen to a live performance of music, it's going to be a little bit different every time. And there's something beautiful about that. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I feel like printmaking is. Printmaking is not so much about being super precise. Some people take it that way. But I think the art of printmaking has more to do with like a concert. Like, here's the image. We all know and love this image, but we're going to make a print of it. And it might have some imperfections or maybe some different color variations that we didn't plan on. And there's something cool about that. So I think printmaking is a really interesting art form in its own right. I never really got a chance to focus on that. And glass blowing was way too expensive for me to afford back then. I would have loved to have done it though. Really, really cool. Britt says, for some reason, Andy's comments aren't showing up in the comment section. That is because, Britt, Andy is one of the few individuals tonight that is watching from YouTube. He wanted to try it out from YouTube because I think he prefers that format. Some people are, and you can see right there, view on YouTube, there's where it is. Some people are checking it out that way, and I am trying to see how things go by simulcasting tonight on both YouTube and Facebook. So Tabitha says, order the books. You will not be disappointed. My youngest son, who's 11 years old, reads them almost daily and was over the moon when he realized that Phil took the time to write a little note and put a character just for him. Thank you for that, Tabitha. I appreciate that. Yes, I enjoy doing that. It's fun. It's beyond fun. Melody says, I love glass blowing and printmaking too. I actually just bought some Japanese paper for some block prints this evening. That's some cool stuff, Melody. I hope you put that on your Instagram account for people to see. Maybe you can share that with us on Work in Progress Wednesday. Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, this live stream show has theming that happens throughout the week, and not every day is themed. Obviously, Friday is not really themed, but because I haven't really mentioned the theme yet. But Wednesdays are Work in Progress Wednesdays, where everybody brings the things they've been working on from the previous week, and just to kind of show their progress each week. And so hopefully you'll come back and watch this show on Wednesday. Hey, and if I forgot to mention already, if you like what you're watching, please give it a thumbs up, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, and please share the video. Share it with anybody you think that should be here on a daily basis, checking out the show. If you think they would enjoy this conversation, I'd like to kind of build this up as large as I can. TJ says, hey guys, I've been so insanely busy currently traveling to family reunion. I had a quick moment to check in before hitting the road again, heading to West Virginia, and I wanted to say I missed this. When I get time, I will rewatch the vids. Well, thank you so much, TJ. Please travel safely. I've noticed that people seem to be driving a little bit more recklessly these days, so please be careful out there, and and make sure you don't get sick. Andy says, Peter Laird, co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, had his degree in printmaking. I am not surprised by that. Some of the early Turtles work kind of exudes. Andy, you can agree or disagree. I'd like to hear what you think, but I feel like the early Turtles comics has a feeling from like somebody who was in printmaking. They kind of exude that sort of thing, I think. Let's see. Kevin says, are you able to see comments from both locations? I can see comments, Kevin. I can see comments, but you guys cannot see comments made from YouTube, and YouTube cannot see comments made on Facebook. That's the only downside. So if you're watching this and you're wondering, if making a comment is worth doing, yes, I try to go through and read everybody's comment and give everybody a voice, so that you can at least know what the other people are talking about a little bit. Andy says, I second Tabitha's comment. Please pick up, or not, he said please. He said pick up the books. Pick up the books. You will laugh so hard your sides hurt. Well, or you said your side hurts. I don't know which side you were referring to, but Andy, thank you very much. That's a tall order to place on my work, because not everybody has the same sense of humor. But hopefully you at least find the drawings entertaining or something. But thank you, Andy. Kevin says, I like your theming. I usually do my talks on Fridays, but not always. My next talk might be on Thursday of next week. Well, Kevin, you will probably have less interference from my live stream show. I announced this yesterday. I'm going to mention it again now. I don't like saying this, but I am going to tell you guys, I've got a birthday coming up in about a week. And so starting sometime next week, I'm going away. I'll still be around if you need to message me, but I'm not going to be live streaming for a little while. Probably about a week. I haven't decided how long. And when I return, I may not return for a daily live stream. It may be once or twice a week live streams. I have not decided yet. So I don't need, but I'm requesting your input going forward. If you guys like what I'm doing here and you want it to continue, let me know that if you think it's worth it. If you want to see it continue on Facebook, or you want to see it on YouTube, or both, or you want to see it on Twitch, I just need to, I want to hear all those things so I can kind of make the best choice for the best for the audience, for you guys. Normally I don't take feedback on my personal artwork, but this is a different thing than personal artwork. This is about having a bit of a community, and so I feel like you guys should at least have your voice be heard a little bit about that. John says, how do you show what you're working on in this forum? What I've been doing, John, is I've been holding up my phone. People send me videos or pictures, and then I hold my phone up to the screen. I think it's been working. I know it's a little bit janky, but I think it's been working. People seem to be responding pretty well to it. I was hoping that once I paid for this live streaming program, which I am paying for it now, that I could find a way to like pop graphics up on the screen. And if I am able to do that, I haven't figured out how to do it yet, and I do need to spend some time learning that. Maybe I'll spend some time learning that when I'm taking my time away from live streaming. Maybe I'll just kind of take a little bit of time to learn. But so far it's been working, and everybody seems to really enjoy Work in Progress Wednesdays. Tabitha says, Phil gives us voices and also does voices. I do, but I'm not doing voices right now. But thank you, Tabitha. Britt says, I'm in Indiana, or in Indiana, everyone's crazy on the road. Yeah, well, that sounds very much like Austin. So Britt says, that means we can talk smack about the YouTube viewers. Andy's a chicken pot pie. And then she put an emoji of a chicken and a pie. And then Andy responded almost immediately, which is a little bit interesting. He says, I don't know if I see the printmaking influence in the TMNT art so much as an influence from punk and metal music art. Okay, that's fair. And he says, that said, most of those posters were done with printmaking. Yeah, I think that's where I'm sort of getting my statement on that. It felt like it was that way. Tabitha says, darn, I tried, Phil, to get you to do some voices. Yeah, you did try. Tanya says she's late. That's okay, Tanya. Welcome to day 2 of simulcasting on YouTube and Facebook. I was just explaining that I will be going away from live streaming for probably about a week, maybe longer. I don't know yet. I will let you know when I'm thinking that Wednesday is going to be my last show for a little while. I know you guys are looking forward to Work in Progress Wednesday, and I don't want to shortchange anybody on that. So this coming Wednesday may be the last one for a little while. Remember, the homework this weekend is to watch Walt Disney's classic Alice in Wonderland animated theatrical film. That's the homework. The extra credit, if you can find it, I have to find it and give you guys a link. But if you can find it without me, that's fine. The 1985 live action made for TV Alice in Wonderland. If you can find it. Again, I'm going to try to find it so you don't have to do the work. That's going to be extra credit. But Alice in Wonderland is the homework. And then Monday, we're all going to talk about Alice in Wonderland, the film, the animated film. So don't miss that show. That's going to be great. It might be the last homework assignment we have together for a little while. So Britt says, I still need to call into the show and show what voices I can do. Maybe, maybe Britt. Maybe we'll do that. I haven't done the call-in thing for a while, and we'll see. Kevin says, I do the images during StreamYard by creating a slideshow and sending it from another computer so I can share it during the talk. I don't know how to do that. Kevin, I may need you to tell me off camera how to do that. I don't know how to do that. So there might be a tutorial online. I'll have to look up, but that's interesting, and that might be what I end up doing. But I'll tell you what, it makes it pretty convenient and easy just to hold my phone up, honestly. I know that's a little bit lazy, but it seems to be working. And the whole thinking behind this show was I wanted to make something that I could do every day that would not be very taxing on me, so that I would be motivated to do it every day. The minute it becomes a lot more prep work is the minute I don't want to do it anymore. Not because I'm lazy, but because I got other stuff that I'm doing. So This was meant to be an hour of relaxation with you guys and not too much high production value. Emily says, have you read the Alice in Wonderland book and Through the Looking Glass? Yes. Years ago, I read them. I don't remember if I got all the way through all of it, but I own a copy. It's still on my shelf to this day. I have been thinking about going back and rereading it, but it's been a long time. Emily says, the Disney movie is a combo of both of those. Yes, it is. Never saw the other version you were talking about. Well, Emily, I was talking about this in yesterday's live stream, is that I don't think there's ever been an adaptation to film that wasn't a mix of both stories. I don't think there's ever been one that was being purist about it. But what I was saying yesterday is, if you've read the stories, which I know you have, Emily, I know you're very passionate about them, I'm not certain that it would transfer to film all that well. I'm not convinced that it would. Maybe it would, but I question that, and I think that's the reason why everybody combines the two, is they take some of the more interesting elements of both stories. The 1985, yeah, I should reread it, you're right. The 1985 made-for-TV production, which had Carol Channing in it in a really creepy role as the White Queen. Honestly, even though it's very, very 80s and it's very, very television, which means the production value is different, somehow I always felt like that captured the spirit of the books better than anything. So if you haven't seen it, I hope you do watch it. I'm going to try to find a link for you guys so that it's easy for everybody to find it. Yesterday, Kevin Garcia, who's in the chat right now, Emily, Kevin was telling us all about Charles Dodgson and about a lot of his history, because apparently Kevin has done a lot of research about the late great Lewis Carroll, and it was really interesting. So maybe Monday we'll talk more about Charles Dodgson, aka Lewis Carroll, and I hope you'll be back for that show, because Monday is all dedicated to Alice in Wonderland. Emily says, it probably would be hard to transfer to film now that I think about it. Yeah, it just is. I'm pretty sure that it is. Hold on a second. Kevin says, I highly recommend the annotated Alice. I've heard of this. Kevin says, it covers both books and gives tons of details about the evolution of the stories, behind the scenes stuff, cultural and personal references in the books, that kind of stuff. Kevin, by the way, if you guys don't know, Kevin is a comic book historian. I believe he worked for Marvel for a period of time as well. Hopefully I'm not misquoting you on that, Kevin. My apologies if I am. So Kevin always has lots of interesting factoids about this kind of thing. And Emily says she loves the annotated Alice. Very good, very good. So yeah, so if you like this conversation about Alice in Wonderland, we're going to be talking a lot more about it on Monday's show. But you have the weekend. You have the weekend to go back and watch, even if you've already watched the animated Disney classic. The idea behind homework for this experiment that I've been running for 2+ months, the idea is that we all have a shared experience together. And then Monday we can all talk about it because it's fresh in our minds, right? That's the idea. So hopefully you'll participate and come back and watch the show on Monday, and we can all talk about the animated film and maybe how it's different from the book. I'm hoping we can talk about that. A version that I haven't seen in years, and I can't even remember if I saw all of it. They did a made-for-TV version through the Hallmark Company. I believe Martin Short was the Mad Hatter. Whoopi Goldberg was the Cheshire Cat. It was a made-for-TV version. I don't know if that one is locatable anywhere. That one was interesting. There was an adaptation that was really weird, but I thought it was cool, done for the Sci-Fi Channel a few years back. I think it was just called Alice. That one was pretty interesting. There's been a lot of versions in film over the years, and all of them a little bit different, and all of them a little bit doing their own thing with it, which is cool, you know. But I think it's important to recognize the source material. In this case, would be Lewis Carroll, and I really like that we're talking about the author, because all these things, these iconic characters, the imagery that comes from these stories, you know, say what you will about the books, but we really owe a lot of our cultural stuffs to one man. Really, I mean, he came up with all this stuff, and it's brilliant. And if you haven't read the books, you really should. I agree. Kevin says, "Oh, the Hallmark one. I recall that one. I don't remember liking it, but I don't recall having any major problems." Kevin, I feel the same way about it. I remember thinking kind of right? It did some things well, like Martin Short as the Mad Hatter. I remember it looked very much like they took the original illustrations and tried to bring those to life as best they could, which is really cool. Melody says, "I remember the one with Martin Short." Yep. Tanya says, "I found the live action 1985 on YouTube. Where do you want the links?" Oh, awesome. Tanya, you can put them in the chat, but send it to me privately because I'm going to make a separate post on Facebook that says extra credit, watch this weekend. Thank you for that, Tanya. Tip of the hat. Also, Tanya, if you don't mind me thanking you publicly, I have to once again thank Tanya for sending me an updated version of Pinnacle Studio. She knew I was using an old version, and she sent me a new one because she had an extra copy. Thank you so much for that. It was very sweet. I don't know if you did it because of my birthday or if you did it just because you wanted to, but either way, thank you. Emily says, "I loved making fun of that one, the Martin Short one." Yeah, I remember it being not so great. I remember liking Martin Short in it. I just remember thinking, like, overall it wasn't super great. There was another version of Alice in Wonderland, not to be too much on this topic, but whatever, we're on it now. That was in the late 80s, early 90s on the Disney Channel, and it was called Adventures in Wonderland, and that was live action as well, filmed kind of like a TV sitcom. And Alice, whenever it was interesting, she would kind of come and go between Wonderland. Whenever she was having a problem in her real life, she would be like, what would the white rabbit do? And she'd be able to come and go as she pleased and get advice from the caterpillar and all that stuff. And even though it was super corny, there was some decent acting in it. The guy that played the caterpillar especially was wonderful. Kevin says, "I think it's important to cover some of the uncomfortable truths about our literary heroes, though I do try to separate those from whether or not I can enjoy the text. I do have trouble with the works of F. Scott Fitzgerald and Card's Ender's Game. Yeah, I understand that, Kevin, and that's a good point you're making. It's something we can talk about more on Monday, or maybe this weekend, maybe tomorrow. But there's this whole debate of like separating the artist from the art, and if I can be candid here, I personally don't believe any one person is pure evil. And so if somebody does things that are unsavory, I'd like to believe that the creative sparks that came from them that instills a sense of wonder and excitement in us, I'd like to believe that came from a good place. And therefore, I do still like to praise that person for the good things they did. And if they did some bad things, I think it's okay to talk about them and frame them in context. But I don't think one person should be defined solely by a bad thing they did. I personally don't believe that. I'm not saying it's okay that they did bad stuff. Don't go twisting my words, internet. Let's see. Thank you for part one, Tanya. I appreciate that. Britt says, "I remember watching a TV series of Alice on Disney when I was a kid called Adventures in Wonderland." I was just talking about that. Did you hear me say that, or were you typing it as I was saying it? What's going on here? She says, "I shared a video that talked about the making of the show on Indie Animations. The show had great character portrayal and some animation. Fun fact, Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka looked like the Mad Hatter in that show." It's been a while since I've watched the old show, so I can't say yay or nay on that, but I'll take your word for it. Tabitha says, "I remember that one where Alice would come and go." Yes. Britt says, "LOL, you beat me to talking about the Disney show, Phil." Yeah, I grew up on that Disney show. I grew up on it. Kevin says, "Watch the YouTube channel Defunct TV." I do watch Defunct TV, Kevin. He says they just covered Adventures in Wonderland. Oh, cool. Oh, I'll have to watch that. I didn't know that. Kevin says, "I don't know about pure evil, but the more you learn about Fitzgerald, the more you question The Great Gatsby." And that's fair. I don't know anything about Fitzgerald, so I can't say yay or nay on that. My reference points have to do more with people like Michael Jackson We won't go into that right now, but I'll just, like, as a button on that subject, I will just say I can still listen to his music. That's what I will say about that. Some people can't listen to his music anymore. Britt says, I loved that Alice went into both worlds through her mirror. Yes, absolutely. Incidentally, there's a really fun Mickey Mouse cartoon, a color cartoon, and I'm forgetting the name of it right now. I cannot remember the name of it, but there's a really great Mickey Mouse cartoon where it is inspired by Alice in Wonderland, and he goes through a mirror. It's really wonderfully animated, really beautiful, and he fights with, like, the king of swords on one of the cards. He's fighting him over the queen because he was dancing with the queen. Really a wonderful little cartoon if you can watch it. Melody says, man, I remember that. That was so odd. Oh, good. Britt says, LOL, I was almost done typing when you brought up Adventures in Wonderland. Well, we're on the same wavelength then. Britt says, Defunct TV was actually the YouTube video that I shared on Indie Animations. Oh, well, very, very good. Tabitha says, okay, Phil, I'm going to need you to make a post on your page with all these links. I will absolutely do that. Tanya, if you could send them to me in a private message, I'd appreciate it, so I don't have to go digging through comments. And then Kevin, if you want to send me that link too in a private message, I'd appreciate that. Britt says, was it the animation where he was dancing with the cards? Yes, it was. It was. That's a very Alice in Wonderland based. I don't think it was totally Alice in Wonderland, but it was kind of like it. He goes through his mirror. I think he's dreaming that he's doing it. He goes through the mirror, and then, like, he plays hopscotch with a telephone and telephone cord. He, like, everything that's inanimate on one side of in the real world, on the other side of the mirror, all the inanimate objects come to life. And that always felt like it was based on Through the Looking Glass. I don't know if it was, but it always kind of made me feel like that was a Through the Looking Glass inspired cartoon. I don't remember what it was called. Britt says, oh, my question was just answered. John says, I grew up on HR Puffin Stuff, which is an LSD trip, but I've had trouble with Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, I know HR Puffin Stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. A little bit of Land of the Lost from Sid and Marty Krofft, right? Alice in Wonderland, I think, honestly, it depends on the version. The animated Disney version is really tame, I think. I think it's very tame. I do have a special place in my heart for the Mad Hatter and the Cheshire Cat from the Disney version. I think they did those characters really well. The Queen, she's wonderful too. There's a lot of wonderful things about the Disney version, but there's things about the Disney version where I feel like they linger too long on one subject and don't spend enough time on another subject that's more interesting, particularly the All in the Golden Afternoon song that happens with the Garden of Mean-Spirited Flowers. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't care for that scene. That whole scene, I feel like, who cares? I hate to say that, but I don't know why that was even given as much attention as it was. There are so many more interesting things about the Alice stories than talking to the flowers. I just don't get it. That part never really landed with me as a kid or to this day. I don't really care about it. Andy says, oh, The Matrix was also strongly influenced by Alice in Wonderland stuff. Yes, it was. Good point. Emily says, we are watching Batman the Animated Series with Aria right now. Excellent choice. And she says, I was so excited because I forgot that the Mad Hatter is one of Batman's villains. Yes, Andy was talking about that yesterday, that there are a number of Batman villains who were inspired by Lewis Carroll. Yes. Britt says, I loved old Disney cartoons like that. I wish that modern animation played with surrealism like it used to. Yeah, there's a lot of fun surreal cartoons if you want to go back and look at like the Flip the Frog stuff. There's a lot of old, really super surreal, some of the Betty Boop cartoons, and just a lot of the Bosco stuff. A lot of that stuff was really weird. Tanya says, yes, the flower scene is just felt useless. It just does. I mean, that could have been, I don't know what they were thinking. Kevin says, one of my favorite parts involves the mock turtle, but that rarely gets adapted. Yes, it rarely does. But if memory serves, it is in the 1985 special that Tanya found the links for us. There is a mock turtle. I think it was played by a famous musician, if I'm remembering correctly. There's even a song about the Mock Turtle in that TV version. That TV version really covers the bases in a very thorough way. Again, it's very made for TV. It's not like it's got modern special effects, but it does a darn good job for what it is. Kevin says, when the Disney movie didn't work out, I did end up using the Batman episodes with future classes. Yes. So Emily's a teacher, by the way. Emily Bayer, who's in the room right now. Kevin Garcia used to teach as well, and he was using Alice in Wonderland as a teaching tool. The kids felt and Kevin felt that the movie moved a little too slowly, so he's referring to that when he says it didn't work out. Britt says, I used to watch old Rubber Hose animation from Disney back in their early years. I still watch those cartoons. Those are the cartoons that I feel like are just super cartoony. And you can thank Ub Iwerks for those cartoons because he was a major proponent to that. That was back also when Fritz Freeling was working with Disney. We're talking about the 1930s era. So anyway, we are past the hour mark. And thank you so much for being here. You've just proven my statement that I like to say when there's a lot of people having conversation in this room. The hour flies by. Hopefully you see what I'm talking about. That's why I'm trying to get the room more populated. So anyway, just as a reminder, tomorrow we'll be here again, and probably Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 5 more shows. And then I'm probably going to be calling it quits for a little while. So we did get past the 2-month mark a few days back. So we're going to do another 5 shows here. And then I'm taking a break. I don't know how long. And then when I come back, I don't know how many days a week I'm going to come back for. So if you like what you see here and you're really sad about me going away for a while, now's a really good time to show me you care by sharing this video with other people, getting this room more populated, because I will consider not going on break for as long of a time if I see that there's a real interest in this show. But no offense to the 10 of you that are here, but I'm just saying it makes it a little bit more energized when that number goes up. So Emily says, I would love to teach Alice in Wonderland. Luckily, a lot of Spanish literature is just as trippy. Nice. Don Quixote is fun, says Kevin. I agree. Emily says, oh gosh, I fall asleep every time I read Don Quixote, and I even lived in his hometown. You mean Cervantes' hometown, yes. Britt says, Netflix is supposed to have a TV show coming out based on the game Cuphead, which is based on Rubber Hose animation. I did not know about the animated show to Netflix, but I'm glad they're doing it, because Cuphead, if you don't know about it already, is a video game that was animated in very much the same classic style as traditional hand-drawn animation, but it was made for a video game. So it's really brilliant. I have not played it myself, but I've watched a lot of videos, and I know it's brilliant without playing it. I will play it at some point. But I'm really glad they're making a show about it, because that game kind of brought a revitalization to the art form, and I was really appreciative that they did that. Andy says that the Disney show you were mentioning sounds a lot like the Max. I wonder if Alice in Wonderland was an influence for the Max. I don't know, Andy, but I used to watch the Max as well, and I don't remember it well enough to agree or disagree, but I do remember the character. Tabitha says, oh, Britt, please don't tell my son about Cuphead, the show. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this show, please give it a thumbs up. Please share it with some friends. I genuinely appreciate when you do that. Those are free things to do. Doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of a couple clicks of your mouse. If you want to follow what I do online in different forms of social media and such, here's my link to YouTube. Please follow me on YouTube. I appreciate that. For those of you who like to use Twitch, there I am on Twitch. You may have to pause this video in order to do that, but please follow me over there as well. If you like the drawings that are behind me and you want to know more about them, you can always follow them on Facebook. There they are on Facebook. You can also go to retailsunshine.com or filmaki.com, whatever is easier for you to remember, and go ahead and buy some stuff from there. Do it, because I've got some inventory that I want to clear, and I'd like to make some new stuff. So buy my stuff. That's my pitch on that one. Thank you for the thumbs up, guys. If you feel like throwing money at me and you don't want any kind of reward or physical item to come back to you, you're just like, here, I like what you're doing, let me put a tip in your tip jar. Well, here's my tip jar. It's on PayPal. Please feel free to do that. Or if you want to subscribe and get some digital rewards, you can follow me over here on Patreon. You can follow me there for free, but you get more out of it when you do the paid subscription stuff. So that's all my things, all my plugs that I just plugged. Follow me on all the things. And I really appreciate you guys. Thank you once again for making this a fun hour. Looking forward to tomorrow and the next few shows. Again, Monday is Alice in Wonderland Day, so watch the homework this weekend. The extra credit is the 1985 made-for-TV special. If you want to watch that, I highly recommend it. It's super creepy. And Wednesday is Work in Progress Wednesday, so if you are working on something creative, anything creative, and you want the world to see it, that's your day to come and be seen. Send me progress pictures in a private message all the way up to Wednesday's show. You have until then. Send me any kind of progress photos you want with any kind of description, and I'll make sure that we all give you a hearty pat on the back. It's a really reaffirming hour of programming, I think you'll find, because everybody is super supportive in this group, and that's part of what I appreciate about it. I do sometimes worry that if I had more than 10 people in here at a time, that I'd get some internet trolls. I do worry about that sometimes, but thankfully, in the 2+ months that I've been doing this, everybody's been super kind and supportive of everybody else, and thank you for that, guys. Thank you for not making me have to whip out my boomstick. All right, a few more comments before we close out for the night. Let's see. Tabitha says, I get tired of the Cuphead rap that is on YouTube. Britt says, okay, or oh, that's rough. Emily says, bye, Phil. Hope my schedule works out to see you Monday. Hey, if it doesn't work out, you can always play the video back at your leisure. Britt says, hopefully he's not watching right now. And Tabitha says, not today. All right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place, same guy, same face. Have a wonderful night. Bye.